Good morning, class. My name is Omar, and my team members consist of Eric, Spencer, and Teresa. And today we're going to be talking about the European Central Bank. The origin of the great idea. The disaster that both world wars created left an impact on the world. Continents were looking to rebuild and reconstruct themselves. Although many continents found success in doing that, perhaps one of the most successful continents was Europe, with their idea of a central bank linking most of their states into adopting a single currency. This was to prevent future devastation. People began addressing their ideas. A French civil servant, Jean Monnet, was one of the persons that proposed an idea to put the industries that were seen as the engines of war, such as coal and steel, and his idea was approved by France's Foreign Minister Robert Schuman. One of Robert Schuman's famous quotes was, "Europe will not be made all at once or according to a single plan. It will be built through concrete achievements which first create a de facto solidarity." In 1951, the Treaty of Paris was signed. This treaty was signed by six countries, including France, Germany, Belgium, Italy, Luxembourg, and the Netherlands. This treaty also created the Coal and Steel Community, the ECSC. Its goal was to regulate industrial production under centralized authority. It was governed by the High Authority, the first supernatural body. It consisted of a council of ministers, court of justice, consultative committee, and it allowed free movement of goods and free access to services of production. This treaty was also seen as the next step to European Federation and Union. 6 years later, the Treaty of Rome was created. This created the EEC, the European Economic Community. The European Economic Community brought the elimination of custom duties between member states. It established external custom tariffs. It introduced common policies for agriculture and transport, an European Investment Bank, and it brought closer relations between member states. It also established a path to the central bank creation, created Euratom, European Atomic Energy Community, which promoted research and dismantled technical information. It also set safety standards to protect the public and industry workers, facilitated research, and ensured civil nuclear materials are not to be diverted to other uses, especially in military. In 1968, the single currency was proposed by Prime Minister of Luxembourg, Pierre Warner. His idea was taken kindly, and the Warner Report called for a step-by-step progress to take action. The estimated time to be completed was 10 years. However, around that time, the US devalued the dollar and the oil crisis erupted, and the currency plan had been ruined, which left out monetary unions. So Europe adopted the currency snake. This set limits on exchange rate fluctuations on both US dollar and European currencies. It was the first attempt at monetary cooperation. It limited fluctuations between different European currencies. It was a strategy to create a single brand, but it also caused lots of exchange rate adjustments. Many European states joined and left and joined again. In 1979, the Economic and Monetary Union revived. The European monetary system was born, the European Currency Union was born, the ECU, European Currency Union, was established but was a virtual currency and a mere of a unit. The beginning of exchange rate mechanism was born. One of the first changes to the Treaty of Rome was the Single European Act. which was signed in 1986, and its goal was to establish a single market by November 31st of the year 1992. In 1988, President Jacques Dolores passed the Maastricht Treaty. It was a three-stage progression towards economic and monetary union. First, it increased cooperation among banks. This stage was adopted after the movement of capital in the European Community was liberalized completely on July 1st of 1990. On February 7, 1992, the treaty in the European Union was signed in Maastricht and laid out the further steps for achieving economic and monetary union and making it work. This treaty led to the establishment of Stage 2 in 1994. Stage 2 of treaty was all about economic convergence and how to achieve it. Stage 2 established the European Monetary Institute (EMI). It encouraged cooperation between the national banks and the member states. It also increased coordination, and central banks became fully independent with price stability as their primary objective. The EMI was responsible for carrying out all the work necessary for the creation. In May 1998, all the European leaders and finance ministers met in Brussels, the capital of Belgium and home to European Union headquarters, to make the decisions of which states had reached a sufficient degree of convergence to be eligible to participate in the monetary union. In this particular meeting, not only were the eligible states chosen, but also appointed the first president of the ECB, William Duesenberg. Apart from this, the first board members of the executive board were also elected. In June 1st, 1998, the ECB was established and replaced the EMI. With all the national central banks of the member states of the European Union, the ECB formed the European system of central banks. In European history, this stage was classified as the most important because it introduced the euro in 11 member states. In 1999, the third stage of Jacques Delors' plan was completed. It brought irrevocable fixing and conversion rates. The single currency was launched, and 3 years later, banknotes and coins were introduced. The wait was over, and the people of Europe adopted their own currency. For 3 years, the euro had been the official currency for banks and businesses and financial markets. Now, individuals could finally obtain the euro, and people rushed to cash dispensers to be one of the first to hold the paper and coin currency in their pockets.